We're back, people. I just saw my producer, Wally. I asked Wally, he pledged an Omega Sci-Fi. Wally had ball. He got on his hood. Wally, you didn't greet me. Wally. Greetings, big sister Christina. Wally, he's ignoring me. So, people, today's show with Erin A. Ferguson is being brought to you by the following sponsors, and they are KFC, Custom Computers, BTC, Porky Service Station. Lord, I got to go there right after I leave work. Micah in Ethiopia, Egypt, Ecuador, and Exuma. All three of them. So I got to go to Porky's and fill up. Also, we're being brought to you by Dairy Queen. We love Dairy Queen. That's for you, my cousin Robin. Robin says she can't go a weekend without Dairy Queen. That's lovely. We love that. Also, Burger King is on board, as well as Dunkin' Donuts. We're also brought to you by the IAAF World Relays Bahamas. That's coming up. Ooh, I tell you. And speaking of IAAF, congrats to our own Chris and Shanae. You know, for a small country, we are doing some amazing things. That's why we got to get it together. Because just think, if we could be great as we supposed to be, how amazing we would be. But nonetheless, I digress. Additionally, we're brought to you by Bahamas Against Crime. Wouldn't that be great? Security officers training. So, people, let's get this conversation started. We're going to talk to Erin until 3 o'clock. After the 3 o'clock news update, we'll open up the phone lines, and they are 325-4316, 325-4259, and 323-6232. By the way, I know you're wondering, I didn't get any glam squad work done today. I just put this makeup on in the car, John. You know, you gotta have your tub of makeup in the car.
Oh,
yeah, I have my makeup on old butter container. No, my hair ain't straight because you told me I look old with straight hair.
Yeah, I don't like how that look.
Only your friends could tell you that, you know.
Yeah, Mom. Listen, my mother lost 20 years of her look when she got that, cut that hair.
She looks amazing. Natural. She looks amazing. I love the little streak of gray.
Oh, yeah, her gray streak, her classic streak.
But, you know, can I tell you, I do love my kinky hair. Don't get me wrong. But it's good to be versatile.
Yeah.
But I do notice that when my hair is up, I do tend to look younger. And when my hair is down. So while you buff me, I kind of agree with you.
Say buff.
But that's all right. I'm going to get my hair straight. Fantasia, I'll be there on Wednesday. 323-6711 Bahama Tree.
As long as you ain't burning it straight.
No. No, because as you can see, you saw me with straight hair. And see, now it's back.
Now it's back.
Right,
praise the Lord.
No, man, one thing about Christina Marlene Thompson Russell, back to Thompson.
Yeah.
I have never had a problem with my big nose, my kinky hair, my thick lip. I've never, because I grew up in a household. And it's ironic because most of my daddy them all mix up like Kong salad, you know? So I've grown up in a household that told me, before Lupita Nyong'o had to tell people black is beautiful, some of us grew up knowing that already.
Oh, yeah. Everybody love her, eh?
Yeah, that's something, mate.
Yeah, that nice, beautiful black girl. And they posting her all over the place.
But still, the Bahamas government won't put no moratorium on bleach and weave.
Yeah.
But that's another show.
Well.
So, Erin Ferguson, let's start. One of the things you are in this country, you're a lightning rod.
Okay.
You say some things that if I was to say them, I would be stoned and palted and thrown in the water.
Yeah.
But you prick our consciousness and make us think about some of the things that happen in this nation that really defy logic.
Yeah.
And it's good coming from you as a new generation person, because we all know the voices, unfortunately, in the country have been the same for a long time.
Absolutely.
You know, we got a prime minister who used to count on the abacus. Okay? We have analog leaders in a digital world.
Pound, shilling, and pence leaders.
And I didn't even know about that. You know, Commonwealth Day and thing. So we still got them.
Empire Day.
Hello.
Hey. Empire Day.
Hello. And so, you know, it's good to hear your voice. But a lot of times, the things you say either, you know, evoke such ire or they wake people the hell up.
Yeah.
So what are some of your views on some of the things you've been seeing in the press? I mean, some things been happening in this country that just boggle your mind.
Yeah. I don't think that, you know, I think Bahamians came to understand perhaps in 1992 that we could no longer trust the government figures. We couldn't do it. In fact, in 87.
87, okay.
But of course, you know, Mr. Pinland is a very clever man.
Mr. Pinland is a genius.
Yes, and so he won in 87, contrary to popular.
He did what?
He quote unquote won. And then in 92, you see where the people overwhelmingly voted him out. You know, my theory is that since then, the Bahamian people has not trusted the government. One of the things I need Bahamians to understand is that You can't do this deal where you blame the masses. It's two people that are never blamable
Let them know.
in the running of a country. It's children. It's three. The most vulnerable,
Exactly.
children. And the masses. The masses, no man, think about it.
Okay, let me think about that as we go to this break. Let me
Yeah,
think about that. Because the
think about
masses is do some fools now.
Yeah, they just do fool, but the masses are always willing to acquiesce to the rule of the state.
Okay, let me think about that. Let's
Yeah.
think about that.
Think
People-
about Castro, Cuba, pre-1959.
Okay.
Castro, Cuba now, where communism is the rule of law, and the masses have gone along.
Okay, let's marinate on that as we go to this quick break. We're going to go to this quick break. This is Reality Check. The world according to Erin Ferguson.
Oh, boy.
In the words of Mr. Armstrong.
Yeah.
What a wonderful world it would be.
Oh, boy.
You have some views that has killed me.
What
but
a wonderful world.
we're going to the break, y'all. Be right back on Reality Check. We're back, people. We're talking to Erin Ferguson. Monday is a day when we tend to marinate on the things that we need to marinate on to do better as a nation. And we all know Erin Ferguson is a commentator about what we do. You're like a social commentator. Yeah, and you're smart for someone who
I'm
under
not a
40.
journalist. I keep telling people I'm
Well, you're
not
a sociologist, a
I'm
political
not either.
scientist. What are you? What you studied in Howard again?
I studied political science with a concentration in international relations, comparative politics, and black and African politics.
Good Lord, that's a long major.
And then I did a double major in classical civilization with a concentration in Greek, Roman, and Egyptian.
Boy, you see?
Yeah.
People who've been to school, and let me just say before you snob start, you people who, people tell me like, oh, you think you're better than people because you've been to school. No, it's not that.
Not
We're
at
talking
all.
about one person's experience.
Not at all.
So, Erin, you mentioned that the three people who are not to blame for the condition of this nation, the vulnerable among us, like, the people disabled, mental issues,
Yes.
the people who have issues.
Haitians
Yeah,
are the
well,
vulnerable. Yes.
Haitians are the vulnerable?
They are the most
Child, that's another
vulnerable
show.
group of people in this country.
Why Bahamians hate Haitians so?
Bahamian-
Don't answer that question.
Yeah, we coming back.
And then you said the masses. Now, a lot of us tend to not understand that last one because one of the things I say when I speak, like you, I speak to many people in my role as Chrissy Love over these years. Since 1987, I've been doing this. Well, no, I became Chrissy Love like in 80, when I was in school, like 85-ish.
All your business.
All my business. And I never understand, if you see your condition, why exacerbate it? Why add to it? So explain to us why, in your opinion, the masses are not to be blamed for their condition.
Well, I mean, so in any critique you have, first, before I start that, I want to give a shout out to my people in McLeanstown.
You better.
I am told that Philip Thomas and the crew in McLeanstown listening to the show now.
Yay!
So, McLeanstown is one of them nice little fishing communities in Freeport
Lucky
or in
them.
Grand Bahama.
Lucky them.
Where they have a peaceful, beautiful, wonderful existence and a good relationship with the people over in Sweetens Key.
Lucky them.
So God bless them people.
And God bless y'all.
Yeah.
The family islands are so gorgeous.
Yeah.
But again, because our leaders saw fit to make everything NASA-centric, I can't live in the family islands if I want certain things.
Exactly.
Yeah, if I want my child to have an international baccalaureate high school education, I
ain't
can't
enough.
go live
Ain't
in
enough.
Exuma. By the way, all you know who's squatting on our land, get off. Thanks. So you talked about the masses.
Okay. So the critique will always be either the individual or the system.
Okay.
In the Bahamas, we have a lot of individual critique, but we have a lot of system critique.
Okay, I buy that.
What I'm saying in the middle of that is this sort of latent discussion that we hold where we say that the Bahamian people, we'll always say, oh, well, the F&M and the PLP. But then we'll say, oh, but use the F&M, so use part of the problem. Or use the PLP, or because use part of the problem.
And we've heard that.
But the challenge is that there is no option for people to opt out. Now, if you look at our voting statistics, as a mass, Bahamians have been rejecting both the F&M and the PLP sustainably.
Yeah.
The only time we haven't done
Since 2002.
No. Since 92 we rejected, 87 we rejected Pinling.
But wasn't the greater majority actually in the 1997 election?
Yeah.
That saw the wipeout.
Well, no. See,
Explain to me.
What happened is in 87 we were trying to get Pinling out.
Yeah.
In 92 we succeeded.
Let's say the PLP, because some of the Pingdomites take offense.
I mean, the problem
And they
was
take offense
Pinling.
and try to send message to me at church.
Yeah.
And you
well,
can't
that's
curse in church.
Yeah, that's all right. Them
Okay.
St. Agnes people can be just fine. Listen, I just go there too. That's all right. You gotta call a name. I don't know why Bahamians don't like to
shiver.
call
Hold on,
names.
I gotta sit shiver on that one.
So
You have a person in St. Agnes who just tell people who work with me, I need to lose my job.
oh, okay.
Instead of them focus on all the money they getting from us.
Good for them.
Anyway, Lord, I have to sit shiver. Let me be like my Jewish friends, Erin Ferguson.
Yeah.
Let me put on my boycott.
So what happens is you have 87 where we attempted to remove Pinling and the PLP.
Okay.
In 92 we succeeded. In 97 Pinling had the nerve to run again.
Well, why you say nerve? That's his right.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, it's all.
I mean, a person who took this country from the colonial shackles and put more on them. But anyway, he took us from the colonial shackles, so that was his right to want to run in 97.
We all know that that was not reasonable. He died 3 years later of prostate cancer. He was not well. He should not have been.
Well, he hadn't been well for a while.
He hadn't been well for quite some time.
But is it Pinling or is it the Caribbean and black leader characteristic?
No. You can't say black leader
Look
with
at Africa.
Vladimir Putin and with the
Well,
Bush
okay.
family.
Well,
and
this
with,
is true.
you can't just put that on us.
See,
you know.
but
Yeah, yeah.
I looking at us.
Kim Jong-il.
Can I tell you, I
gotta-
expect the people who are lighter complected to do me bad.
Even in the developed and sensible countries that run themselves by the rule of productivity like Singapore, I mean, his son is now the prime
I
minister.
know.
So,
What's up with that?
you know,
And we always look into Singapore to be
Lee-
our beacon.
yeah, Lee Kuan Yew's son is now the prime minister of Singapore. So, and Lee Kuan Yew remained
Dynasties.
in the cabinet. He was first senior minister, then he
Right.
changed to minister mentor.
Right.
And now I'm not saying
Now
that
we have
he's going
dynasties here
crazy.
now.
Yeah.
Maybe not as obvious. Our
They're quite
dynasties.
obvious.
Well, not really, because
think so.
they don't always go to the first son like in most of the other countries.
Yeah.
We see it trickle down in other areas.
Yeah. But
Okay,
think,
so I buy what you're saying.
I think the point is that our masses have in 1992 rejected, 97 further rejected Pinling, in 2002 rejected Ingram after that, in 2007 showed Chrissy rejection, in 2012 rejected again.
Right.
So the masses, in terms of what it's possible for them to do, are doing what they can. They're
However-
saying, we do not want this.
Okay.
Whether I be PLP or FNM, we don't support our government as it stands. We don't like how they operate. We don't like the system.
Okay.
It's not fair. The average Bahamian voter has expressed that.
Okay, so that means then I have to wait till the 5-year increment to show my
And that's
disgust?
the problem. They're trapped in the 5-year system of reject. They only can express themselves at the election day.
Okay.
And that's the issue. That's where the masses are trapped. So the masses are saying, listen, you give us this election. This is our time to say something. We express ourselves when we have our chance. Where else can we do something?
Okay.
And that's where it becomes difficult.
Answer that when we come back. And that
Okay.
goes back to what you said about the system.
Yes.
All right. See, Erin Ferguson is dropping the knowledge. Bram!
Yeah.
You catch it? We're going to the news update. We'll be right back on Reality Check. And we're back. Wally's in studio. That's Wally you see behind me. Wally, say hi to the people so they can see your bald pledge head.
Yeah.
Wally, say hi. I believe you pledging secretly, and you don't want me to paddle you with some wood. That's why you ain't telling me. Let me stop. That's against all the black Greek-lettered organizations. So Erin Ferguson's in studio. I got to say hi to all of you listening. Annette and Andres, thanks for listening. I just answered you. Erin, they can follow you on Twitter at
Yep.
Erin A. Ferguson.
Everything for me is Erin A. Ferguson.
Exactly.
Facebook.com/Erin A. Ferguson. Tumblr, Erin A. Ferguson. Twitter, @Erin A. Ferguson.
You on everything.
Instagram, #Erin A. Ferguson.
See?
Erin A. Ferguson @gmail.com.
You're a branded man.
Erin A. Ferguson. Anywhere you want it.
So we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
And we're asking you about some of the things that are happening in the nation. And you're starting us on a cogent, well thought out argument that
Yeah.
states that, how we, the Bahamian people, have this power, but it's a system that's holding us back because we only seem to have it every 5 years.
So let me give you the clearest example.
Okay.
We've indoctrinated in ourselves that we're at fault. It's half the reason why we're not so critical of the politician or the system or the priest, the pastors, because we say, oh, see, it's the black crab syndrome.
We hear
Black
that a
crab-
lot.
We hear that a lot, but you have to deconstruct that. So when you think about black crab syndrome, we think of black crabs in a pen. Because the only reason you would be arguing that a black crab would pull the next one down is if you are enclosed within a pen where the crabs are trying to get out of the pen.
What if you don't see the pen, though? Because some of us black folk don't see the pen.
Well, that's the thing. Those are the more enlightened people who attempt to think outside of the pen.
Okay.
But what I don't think a lot of people appreciate is when you say black crab syndrome, he trying to pull me down.
And we hear that.
When you say pull down, you are alluding to the fact that the crabs are trapped in a pen and they are trying to get out of the pen, assuming that you are in a depressed or oppressed situation.
Okay.
And you're trying to get out.
Okay.
Now, he pulled you down back in. Why did he pull you down? Well, it's because he trying to get up too.
Right.
The question is, why not think of removing the pen?
Okay.
So if you put a bunch of black crabs out on an open field, they don't touch each other. There's no need because they have what they need. They have what they want. They have freedom to
Right.
roam.
Minus confinement.
And minus the confinement of the system, the black crabs would not deal with each other.
So how do you work that in a system which in and of itself speaks confinement?
Yes.
We look at our colonial past, our slavery,
Yeah.
Colonialism, which really did a number on not just Bahamians,
Yeah.
many people. Colonialism did a number on many people. So how do we then deal with a system that practices and preaches confinement if
Well,
we are to be out of the confines?
Well, you have to have the right target. So what we do is we target the politician, we target the preacher, we target the leaders, the businessmen. We call them the black crabs, the Uncle Toms. When in fact they are only the crabs that have risen to the top, but they are still in the pen.
Okay.
They
I
haven't,
buy that.
They
I buy
haven't
that.
gotten out.
Okay.
So they're not at fault. They're really just crabs just like us.
So there's blame enough to go around is what you're saying.
Exactly. So Perry Christie is only the representative top crab at this time. It will be switched to someone else and someone else and someone else. He participates in a system and is no more intentional about the system than he is subject to the system.
Okay.
So when
Like that.
and you learn this after being on Citizens Review and you're talking about them and then you meet a Shane Gibson and you say, man, but Shane is a sensible fella. And then you realize that anyone who is at the top rungs of leadership, quote unquote, in the Bahamas are subject to it just like you. So they know more or less blaming in the blame than you are.
But don't they, and this is one of the things too, because again, I will admit I have utter disdain for politicians. I believe our politicians, considering the history that we come from, I believe they've not done the best job for us as a people.
And I could agree with that. But it's all within, they are working their jobs within the pen.
Yes, but in that pen, they have the dossier on what has been holding us back.
Yeah.
And like Cabinet. Cabinet knows what we have signed on to, what we have agreed to, what we have put up with for years.
Yeah.
They are crabs with greater information.
Yes.
So I don't expect them to use that great information to goosey me further.
So in the scenario of the black crab syndrome, quote unquote, these are the crabs at the top, but they still in the pen.
And they still crabs.
What causes us to be, and they're still crabs. What causes us to be distracted with them is that they have made it to the top. So they've pulled down on more people than anyone else. They've pressed on more heads than anyone else, and we get distracted with them as opposed to focusing our pressure as crabs to break apart the pen. What I'm saying is dealing with the politician or the pastor.
And we all know politicians and preachers are
they're
the banes of our existence.
They're the superstructure. They are in charge. The only thing different, the three things that you have to be concerned about is big business, big religion, and big government.
Yes.
Those are the three things
I agree with you on that.
oppress us. But the challenge is in the Bahamas. So when you look at Wall Street, and they are the oppressors of the Americans, they are actually the persons in charge. So when you look at the Rothschilds and the Bilderbergs, they are actually making the decision. They are not in the pen. They are out.
But they're running the pen.
They're running the pen.
Because look at what's happening in America now. And I'm glad that we're talking about us, but we're looking at this in a global perspective.
Yeah, make the comparison.
Look at how this whole new thing in America now, where billionaires are whining about their condition, when they are the very people who benefit greatly from a system that allows them to whine about being wealthy.
Absolutely. Yeah, what I'm saying.
I explain that to me.
What I'm saying is that in the Bahamas, if you're Franklin Wilson, if you're Perry Christie, if you're Miles Monroe.
Let's add some women in that mix too.
Yeah, well, I'm just using.
we got some families
oh,
that
yeah,
are headed by women.
We got Wendy Craig. We got some women preachers out there,
and some women politicians.
And some women politicians
who believe that they must do like this.
Oh yeah, oh Jesus, all for me, all for me.
Anyway, I
but
ain't going there.
If you're these people, you're not like the Kennedys or the Bilderbergs or the Rothschilds.
In which way?
You're in the pen. I keep going back to this because let's look at the breakdown of the Bahamian economic system. So if we look at tourism, our number one industry, you can't name me one Bahamian that owns a major stake in tourism.
And isn't that ironic after all these years?
It's not ironic. It's very much so part of the plan. I think our colonial system works very well in that way, meaning that you're not supposed to be the colonized and then be in charge. Those two things don't go together.
Explain that to me.
What I'm saying is, in the tourism business, there is no Bahamian major stakeholder. None.
Or banking.
No, but hold on. In tourism, the two major elements of tourism is stopover tourists and cruise ship tourists. The reason the majority of them come is because they engage in an entity that has a casino. Our business in the Bahamas is casino gambling.
A casino and casino gambling where
on the ship or on land.
Where Bahamians themselves are not allowed ownership.
We're not allowed
Again,
ownership.
more of the irony to
exactly.
me. How does that work in 2014
So
Bahamas?
this is how you see where the Prime Minister is also in the pen with us, which is where you stop trying to deal with him as much and deal with the system problem we have. So the Prime Minister announces that we're going to have a referendum on gambling. That referendum is a discussion about whether Negroes over the hill can gamble on the corner by their house.
Oh, we're still calling ourselves Negroes.
Well,
good to know.
When you are taken out of the ownership discussion in your own country and relegated to a second-class citizen, you have been niggerized. That's what Cornel West argues.
Niggerah, niggeras, niggeramos,
yeah.
niggeron.
So we got to go to break.
Yeah, we got to go to break.
Man, these break too quick.
I know, 15 minutes is go quick, hey?
Yeah.
Okay, April,
okay.
Next break, we ain't gonna take our next break till 1:45, okay? We can ignore the 3:30 break. Tell Wally make that happen. Who robbing this train? You, Jesse James. We're going to the break. Erin A. Ferguson is here. The world according to Erin. Brace yourselves. My. Come. Erin Ferguson has to leave at 4 o'clock, so my time is at a premium.
Yeah.
Look here, call Chandris and Rex, tell them hold that blend.
Yeah.
Hold that tiger. You know it's the Bahamas. So, Erin, you're talking about the reason why we are in this predicament that we're in. You're breaking down the system.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about your wonderful degree that allows you to do that. See, because most of us don't understand the social construct.
Mm-hmm.
So continue your point, and at the end of that point, I want you to tell me, how do we get out the pen and out the system? Because most people don't realize they're in the pen and in the system. It's like how I routed people when I go to Angliston and I look at E.P. Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
You're complaining about the government, but yet you're breaking up the school.
Exactly.
Why are you being a crabby crab?
So essentially, you have to stop paying attention to the politicians and the priests. You have to stop paying attention to everything other than the patterns that you see. One of the patterns that we see is that Bahamians continue to reject the government. So we know that the crabs in the pen are aware that there is a pen.
Biters grow in.
Yes. And aside from that, but we have to change our, Joey Gaskins always talks about our language.
Exactly.
We have to change the language, because every time you say, oh, this black crab syndrome, you're blaming the crab and not the system that the crab is in.
So the system then, how do we, already feeling oppressed and downtrodden by a system,
Mm-hmm.
which our people kept to use against us as well,
Yeah.
how do we break free of that system?
Well, one of the first things you have to do is understand where the basic elements of the system. So, like I said, in tourism, there's no substantial Bahamian ownership, right?
Not even the union that always complaining about it would get one hotel and run it.
No substantial Bahamian ownership. Aside from the fact there's no substantial Bahamian ownership, the Bahamian consciousness is not aware of the fact that we have the number one casino in the Caribbean in the Bahamas, and we are building the next number one. So
I like that, the next number
the
one.
next number one. So we can have the number one and the number two casino in the Caribbean, but we do not speak as if our business is gambling. That is our business.
Because we're a Christian nation.
Well, that's nonsense. Our business is gambling either by cruise ship or by casino. And a Bahamian is not allowed to participate in that. So here's the equivalent. Let's change it to the country, to Switzerland. Let's change the issue from gambling to banking.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, you start to see how stupid this is.
Okay, so if we know that, Erin,
Yeah.
47 years of stupidity.
No, but we don't know. That's the problem.
But don't you think more of us know it's stupid?
No, we just had a whole referendum where in the press, the Bahamian crabs are rowing with each other over gambling on the corner when our country's business is, in fact, gambling. So here's what the top crabs did.
Okay.
The Prime Minister posed a question. Would the Negroes like to gamble on the corner by where they live?
That was the question?
Yes.
Thanks
that's
for breaking
what the
it down
question
for me.
was.
Thank you.
Well, the question wasn't about gambling because the country's business is gambling. The question was, listen, black Bahamians, pay attention. By virtue of your passport, you are illegally participating in gambling. By virtue of being a Bahamian, you cannot own or operate or participate in gambling.
Which we have said, and not only does this discrimination exist in the minds of our politicians, it's discrimination legislatively.
Yes.
And see, that's what we don't get.
The next problem is, so by virtue of being a Bahamian, the number one industry in our country is outside of your purview. You cannot participate.
And you say that we don't see the stupidity in that 47 years later.
Well, no, we couldn't have seen it because then, in addition to that, we ended up as a country holding a whole conversation on whether we could gamble on our street corners.
For a whole
when
year.
in fact, the real question is, our business is gambling. How do you have a conversation in a country where the number one casino in the Caribbean exists and the next number one getting ready to build?
And you can't be a part
have
of
a conversation with the niggers and you say, y'all won't be able to gamble on y'all street corner? Because don't confuse yourself, little black people. The conversation about the big number one casino and the next number one has nothing to do with you.
Well,
it is
obviously
only
it doesn't.
to do with the people who own it.
And
those people who own it are not Bahamians.
But how do we fix that? Because the same thing and let's keep it real, and I'm sure the preachers are going to get upset. See, once you bring Jesus into it and religion, you scare the niggas.
Yeah.
And the niggas vote against themselves. Now, of course, the other niggas in the legislature
But
don't word it properly.
This is
so again, how do I break away from the nigritude?
Yeah. Well, like I said, you have to identify it first. So the second level of it is that there are offshore banks.
Oh, well, the banking system.
The banking issue is a big one. So every time I talk to Bahamians about this, I say, Itaú, Gatardo, Santander, Pictet.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
We don't know
the
that.
average Bahamian just think that either I cussing or I calling out code.
Now, Santander was here at one time, right?
Yes, they were here at one time.
Okay, so we know, we kind of, Pictet, we know about them because they was here.
No.
But we don't understand what it means, though.
In the average room that I enter and I say Gatardo, Itaú, Pictet, Santander, they don't know what I'm talking about. And then I explain.
I find that hard to believe because you walk into some rooms.
I'm telling you, I've done it at least 3 or 4 times. And in a whole room full of people, they don't know what I'm talking about. But the fact of the matter is, it's not their business.
But then again, Erin, legislatively, when
can be involved.
I agree, but that's the challenge that I have. And that's why I have such disdain for our leaders, because legislatively, we could have, again, my new hashtag for this whole rest of the year, right the wrongs.
Yeah.
We could have legislatively righted the wrongs. But again, here we are, 47 years later, 40 after independence, we still have not righted the wrongs. So what does it say about us?
Well, how exactly do you expect for an average Bahamian person, member of the masses, the crabs, to have righted this wrong? I'm a crab too, you know.
Impress upon the top crabs. Impress upon the top crabs. You know what?
But the top crabs are subject to. So let's do an algorithm, a basic algorithm. If you take 5 passports, a Bahamian passport, a Canadian passport, an American passport, a Chinese passport, and an unknown passport, and you assign those passports to infant babies, and you say, okay, these 5 infants
I know where you're going.
are going to live in the Bahamas. Now let's run an algorithm to show the percentage of possibility for either of these children to own a part of the Bahamas.
Okay. Yeah.
One is a Bahamian.
Yeah.
A whole Bahamian.
With the passport, even though the passport writing with the ruler underneath it.
Yes.
Unless you have a new one. I ain't get my new one yet.
Yeah.
I ain't get my new one yet. I have the ruler passport.
So when you run that algorithm to determine what is the percentage of likelihood that any of these 5 infants have not shown any potential, anything, would own the Bahamas, the Bahamian child with the Bahamian passport would have the lowest percentage of likelihood of owning this country.
And that's sad, Erin.
It's very sad. Now let me show you.
Especially when their name is Kamiki Noki Akiyuga Deshakwaka Kwaka Kwika.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So let me show you. Here's the other problem. Why we hate Haitians. We always talking about Haitians in the Bahamas.
Boy, you just said we hate Haitians. That's a strong.
Of course. Bahamians have a strong disdain and in some cases hate for Haitian people or any black immigrant. Here's why. Because they are also in this cage with us. And we feel like it's too much of them making noise at the bottom. Now, here's the issue. Why would you be caught up arguing with the people at the bottom of the rung, which the Haitians clearly are, when the money, the ownership, the management, and everything of your country is at the top? The average Bahamian cannot tell us of ownership, Bahamian ownership in tourism, banking and finance, and now in construction and development, because the 3 largest contracts given out in the last 10 years is Bahama for $3 billion, the Chinese Construction and Development Company, the NAD, the airport, Canadian company, $500 million, and Jose Catallones for the road.
And we have to add, construction is one of the industries reserved for Bahamians.
It's reserved for Bahamians, but somehow we can't justify that Bahamians own this industry.
Cuckoo.
So
Cuckoo, Erin.
the whole point here is that Bahamians cannot justify our position in the ownership of the country. But our argument daily is that the Haitian taken over. And the question is, well, somebody already owned the country. The only thing we could be is the messenger between the Haitian and the people who actually own the country to say, hey, the Haitians, them coming. And the Haitians have no more ability to take over the Bahamas than a Bahamian does.
So again, how do we, especially those of us with this melanin,
I can tell you.
give me the blueprint.
The blueprint is, number one, we have to recognize that Bahamians over 50 have failed the Bahamas.
Thank you, Erin.
You included in that.
Thanks,
by
Erin.
2 years.
I'm 51.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be 52 this year.
Bahamians over 50, but it's not just the Bahamas. Over 50 in most countries. The baby boomers have gathered up debt. They have gone into wars that they can't fund. They have mishandled the economies of their countries. The next thing we have to know is that there is going to be some sort of clash between the over 50s and the under 50s. Now, there shouldn't be a clash. I think one of the greatest tragedies the Bahamas will face in coming years is that the over 50s will battle with the under 50s for who will run the country.
Well, we're going to see that in 2017.
But obviously, the over 50s aren't going to be tooled well enough to beat the under 50s.
Well, I agree. The over 50s, those of us born in the 60s, we did squander our opportunities. However, and I'm not casting blame or aspersions, we squandered it based on the lies we believed.
Exactly.
From those who were supposed to liberate us.
Y'all was in the
I
cage.
keep telling y'all, when Lyndon Pindon called ST Trio 2 and 5 and say, Marina, Wendell, child, come on, we's free now. My parents believed it.
Yeah,
and I then believed it.
There was work to be done, and they didn't do it.
Okay.
But the under 50s will have to almost essentially digitally revolutionize the country.
Now, when you say digitally, you're meaning technology, not the finger in my behind.
Technology. So
because you gotta be crystal clear.
No. I mean technology.
Not this digit.
The front.
This digit.
The whole idea of changing the country. You think of 3 basic things. So number one, you think, okay, well maybe we could kill him. I'm serious.
Erin, we already have a murder rate that's high.
I understand that, but these are the natural thoughts. So young people will think, okay,
figuratively kill.
How do we take back our country? Well, the first thing we say, man, we need to put them on a plane and sink the plane. People think that. but that's not sustainable.
Yeah, I've had thoughts of the
Yes,
demise of our leaders.
we all have. The
Since
Bahamas
1980.
is a very, very peaceful country, regardless of the newspaper not being able to find better things to print. The Bahamas is a very, very peaceful country. We are not inclined to violence. Our murder rate is not as exaggerated as people like to
Yeah,
think.
it's not
And
a
our
random
crime
murder rate.
problem is a very, very simple problem to solve.
Really?
I advocate that 100%.
Okay, this could be good, and you only got half an hour more. So
Well, and then I got to tell you about what's going on in Freeport. But the other thing is that, so you think about, well, let's kill them. That ain't good.
no, it can't.
So
work.
the other thing you think of is, well, let's wait till they die.
No,
But that don't work neither.
No, because-
Penland died, we end up with Perry and Hubert, and Perry and Hubert ain't dying, number one. And the next thing is that when they dead, we end up with the rest. So you have to think of the fusion of both, which is digital. You have to kill them while standing. You have to make them irrelevant and take your country over.
and
that
one
is
does
the,
that.
one
How?
does that
When we
digitally.
still have again. Do I need to show you when we
One
still
does
writing
that.
passport with ruler?
One does that digitally by, see, we have passport with ruler. One does
No,
that
I haven't done. We
digitally.
have the new ones now. I just haven't because my passport. Oh, child, it expired. Oops,
But
let me put
see,
that away.
you have to realize that people under 50 can live in a world that is not affected by the physical world at all.
Okay, and I buy that.
When I say not affected by the physical world is, when I go to the U.S. or any other country, I could engage the entire market on my cell phone.
Exactly.
And that could happen in the Bahamas. Now,
Why isn't it?
it's not happening because we are strategically held back in terms of our information access. We have a monopoly in information, and they don't provide a service that's worth ever talking about.
Not to mention the whole portal to gain capital from all over the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like how Rajneesh them could come here, use our land, use it as collateral, and get plenty money. But me and you can't do that.
Because the algorithm would bear out that the Bahamian is least likely
So
to
basically, I
participate
must
in the
wipe my
ownership
hip
of
with
this
this then.
country. Well, basically, you need a replacement to that passport, and that needs to be your cell phone.
Okay.
You need access to a digital presence that is more effective than your physical presence,
And
which
look.
is controlled by the cage.
And look, I've been to all these places. Look, India.
No, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Schengen.
I'll give you an example of this.
Okay, because, we need real, and don't speak to me, Christina Thompson, who's been the benefit of socialization and education.
Yeah.
Speak to Kakwekwe and Mama.
Yeah. Well,
Who feel lost and out of sorts.
yeah. And so this brings me to where I am now in Freeport, where the Marine pilots in Freeport have decided that, number one, we are Bahamians. Number two, this system is not sustainable. We will have an incident of mass proportion similar to the Concordia, and we can't sit by and let nothing happen.
And of course, this is in Freeport where, thriving maritime industry, shipping industry.
Absolutely.
So why
Second
are Bahamian
largest.
pilots, and see, you got to break it down for me, because
Yeah.
as a Nasuvian, I look at the Sudur words and the Mr. Monroe and them who making bank.
Yeah.
So explain to us how that differs in Grand Bahama.
Well, it differs in Grand Bahama because the Nassau pilots are independent, and their pilots are supposed to be independent. Pilots are not to be. Well, first thing is pilots are national security and safety officers.
So why are they not independent in Grand Bahama?
Because the companies in Grand Bahama
In
determine-
Freeport.
in Freeport,
Free
in the
port.
Freeport, the companies determine that they want pilots on staff. The problem with that is that the pilots are not supposed to be subject to commercial interests. So, for example, the anchorage in Freeport is not feasible for the companies to deal with that, so they leave it unpiloted. The anchorage is supposed to be a mandatory pilotage area. Any area onshore is supposed to be manned by a pilot.
So how does that happen? And see, this is what we can't understand, because again, being NASA-centric and thinking of things from a
It
NASA
happens
point of view.
because they say so.
But why? How do you say so?
Because in Freeport, they believe they could do whatever it is they feel like and
And again,
jeopardize
who
the safety of the Bahamas.
But how? How do you get that carte blanche in a nation with rules?
Well, because the Bahamas needs to start to comply with IMO and IMPA standards. The IMO standards
Okay, what's
require-
IMPA?
IMO is the International Maritime
Yeah,
Organization.
we know that.
Today, the IMPA, which is International Maritime Pilots Association representative who has a seat at IMO, came to the Bahamas. He's visiting with the pilots from Freeport. We're having an event tonight at 7 p.m. at Pelican Bay Resort.
Okay, I ain't gonna charge you for that.
No, I
Use
don't
Erin
charge me for
Ferguson.
that one.
No, I ain't gonna charge you that one. Because here's my
But-
thing. As a social commentator and talk show host, and I've been saying this from the 80s, I'm just so tired of me as a Bahamian getting ridden.
Yeah.
And legislatively, we've not corrected. You mentioned banking and tourism.
Yeah.
You mentioned the casino situation. We never corrected the legislation.
No, we didn't.
So that is why we're tired of being sitting on.
And that's why I'm talking about it in the
Thanks, KB.
in the context of what can we do.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, you have a group of Bahamian professionals deciding, listen, here's what we can do. We will do all that it takes to save the maritime industry in the Bahamas, because all it takes is one major incident. The Concordia in Europe.
But how you could be not piloted though? How are you able to function?
Here's what happens in Freeport, and this is on behalf of Borco and the Freeport Harbor Company. A ship approaches the Bahamas, the Freeport Harbor. They ask for a pilot to anchor. The ship is told that there are no pilots available, and that is a company position.
But again, Erin, we don't understand, how does that happen?
It does because the port directors say it happens. That's all. I mean, what you want.
I'm lost.
And it also happens because we in the Bahamas are void of the proper maritime legal structure.
In
And
a country that prides itself on its maritime prowess.
And with the big
with
ship
100,000
registry.
whole square mile of water next to Liberia and
Yeah. But
we number 2.
Here's what I could say, though.
That makes no sense,
The
Erin.
pilots have been meeting with the government. We've met with the Minister of Transportation.
Okay, but Erin,
And she has pledged to
Yeah.
solve this problem.
You know, Glenys Hannah Martin means well, but again,
Yeah.
she herself, as the top grab, is hampered by a system.
She is hampered, yes. But I think,
Because Glenys have good sense.
yeah, she got good sense. She's a very sensible woman, and I think what she has done in the aviation industry shows that she could revamp the industry.
So when?
we're
What's the
asked-
ETA?
The ETA is March 28th. On March 28th, the resignations of the majority of the 18 pilots that were piloting in the Freeport Harbor and Borco.
So would that mean all commerce come to a
14
standstill?
of them are out of the system on March 28th because
Okay.
our pilots have resigned. What they've said is they will no longer work under the conditions and in a system that is not properly regulated, that is not concerned with safety, that is only interested in the company's bottom line.
And see, that's a
Now-
problem again. Bahamians who
Yeah.
live here
Mhm.
being pooped on
Yeah.
by those who come from all over the world. In this
Exactly.
case, China, Japan, wherever,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
How legislatively does this continue to happen year? We're 2014, Erin. This is 2014.
Yeah.
Okay?
But we have a commitment that the government intends, for the Ministry of Transportation and the Ministry of Labor working together, intends to bring forth
Okay.
legislation, and that's what the meeting was about today.
How sure are you of that commitment? Because
Well,
we have a
listen,
government
I
now that
think-
has challenges governing.
Hmm. I think when Glenys Hannah Martin tells me she's committed to revamping the maritime industry, that she's going to do it. I don't.
But why we always got to wait till the feces hit the fan to revamp?
Well, and this is the thing. This is why the pilots have taken such a strong
Why
stance.
the feces got to be on your face until you put a guard up before it gets to that point? See, that's why we look to you to explain why we do the craziness that we do.
Well, this is why the pilots have taken such a strong stance, because
But then
they're
they ain't gonna be
essentially-
working.
No, well, they have resigned already. Now, here's
That's
the
frightening,
thing.
Erin.
It is frightening.
So when the big
but-
catastrophe happens, who's liable for all that?
Well, that's the funny part, because the port and them are trying to keep themselves out of being liable, when in fact the law protects pilots against liability, which is why pilots are supposed to be independent, because pilots are only supposed to act in the best interest of the harbor and of the public interest.
Let me just say something. All of you who are texting and tweeting and WhatsApping, guess what? The phones are open, you know.
Yeah.
Not one line left.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's the time has stopped for me to read. And I read people, Bahamians who are abroad, I'll read your sentiments. But
Yeah.
you can call 325-4316. This next little one right here, 325-4259. And this third line right here, 323-6232. Speak your mind, Bahamas.
Yeah. And what is happening in this conversation is the companies are attempting
Oops.
to say
Did I do that?
that the pilots are distorting the issues and this, that. The fact of the matter is some of the pilots haven't done medical certifications that are supposed to happen every year in 4 or 5 years.
And again, how does that happen?
But
then again, we have leaders who don't disclose what they're earning in 10 years. So again, where is the law and order?
Well, that's what we're attempting to get introduced. Because the Bahamas is a huge player at the International Maritime Organization, and the Bahamas has to come up to standard in terms of its pilotage legislation.
And I got to ask you this.
We want.
Considering all the other things you've attempted to take on, you sure you want to take this on?
Absolutely.
You know you're fighting some serious giants, right? Because we all know this Gooseian goes back way before me and you was born.
Exactly. But the fact of the matter is that the ship's got to move. The harbor has to operate. The pilots are not pulling their services from the companies and saying that they will not pilot. The pilots have set up a fully licensed company called the Freeport Pilotage Company, and they are prepared to provide their services effective immediately.
Let's take some phone calls because I know you got to run.
You must know that the harbor company is attempting to get the Port Authority to play with the license. Because you know that's how they go in Freeport. You want to do something that they don't want you to do, and they gonna run around. They gonna run around and tell people like you ain't got no good license. When in fact, the Freeport Pilotage Company's license was issued in 1986, 10 years before the Freeport Harbor Company ever entered the business of pilotage.
Really?
Freeport's pilotage used to be independent. Hutchison Whampoa changed that with a strategy that they executed when there weren't so many pilots. But now there are enough Bahamian pilots with enough good sense to say it has to stop, and it has to stop now.
Hi, Stephen. Where are you? Stephen, please go teeth me some water out of news before I choke. I know some of y'all will be happy, but I ain't dying now.
Yeah.
Let's go to Anton. Ready to take some calls?
Yeah, man.
Erin Ferguson.
Yep.
Has thrown down the gauntlet.
Listen.
It's up to you to fix this cluster bump, you know.
That's why I'm telling people.
Because I personally, I could be in Exuma with my big electrified fence to keep you idiot people out. Yeah. I gee. So it's up to you to fix this.
When you see a group of Bahamians like the pilots that are very qualified, highly qualified, and so that people understand, in the maritime industry, the two most qualified mariners are the two mariners that at any given point have charge of the major ship.
This could be
That is the master of the ship and the pilot. The master is in deep sea, the pilot is in the harbor.
Let's take Anton's call. You ready for this?
Go ahead, Anton.
One of our WhatsApper says the bread and pound of water at the bottom of the pen. Anton, you're live.
Good afternoon, Chrissy. How you doing?
I'm great, Anton. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great show. Erin, how you doing, Millie?
I'm good. What's
Thank
happening?
you.
Question, what's happening with your show, man, the Citizen Review?
Oh, this could be good. Yeah, Erin.
You want? Can I tell you what happened with the sponsorship, Chrissy? You know, y'all have different interests around here. You know, the Guardian Talk Radio is sponsored by people who you can't call their name and all type funny stuff.
It's not that, you know. It's just that we're not mature enough in this country to accept name calling.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Well, we had a major sponsor, which was the Bahamas Telecommunications Corporation.
Jesus. Look where you're going.
And when we started to criticize that corporation by saying, Houston, we have a problem.
And I've been saying that. I never get in trouble.
Houston, we have a problem. They cut our sponsorship, and not only did they cut our sponsorship, but they set meetings with the other sponsors that we had and encouraged them to cut the sponsorship.
But didn't I tell you that? Can I tell you that's been happening to me
contracts.
since 1994?
Yes.
But that's what they do. They try to take bread out of your mouth and intimidate your sponsors.
And that's the other thing.
And let me just say for BTC, this is Erin's view before all of you send me your emails.
Marlon Johnson, feel free to call me. Feel free to call me, Mr. Johnson. You know the story. You were the one who made the call.
Oh, Lord. You know, Marlon. Now, see, Erin, why you want to cause me get in trouble?
I ain't trying to cause you get in trouble. I'm telling you the truth.
Did I mention that BTC has a yearly contract for advertising on Reality Check? Thanks, BTC.
Yes.
No, but the thing is, can I tell you?
They have a yearly contract with everybody, so they don't say nothing.
BTC is the one who did that to you. We all know that ever since Hubert Alexander Ingram led the reins of these airwaves, and it's been about money, because CZNS wasn't into money, making money. But the private entities are into making money.
It's about money.
For example, when I came to The Guardian, someone threatened them with about pulling the Gazette.
Yeah.
They always use these threats. But, you know, Anyway, who's on the line?
What-
Before
but-
I say something, I'll do
But
it.
so that I could fully answer the gentleman's
Yeah,
question.
why are you on the air? Because Mr. One Eyebrow has a sales team. Why don't they sell
Yeah.
your show?
Well, listen, I'm not responsible for running anyone's
He
company.
could take the money he owed me and put it in your show.
So that people know, Citizens Review was not a profit-bearing show. The idea of
That's your
Citizens
first
Review-
mistake.
Well, no. That was my point.
We in this
The
for
whole
profit.
point is that Citizens Review's sponsorship dollars went to cover the cost of doing the show, and that's it.
And TV is costly. People
Yeah.
don't realize that
Anybody
TV
at
is costly.
JCN could tell you, anytime they sold ads, I told them, keep the money, apply it to the show. The only idea that Erin Ferguson is interested in is keeping the show on air. I told all of the viewers over and over again, if you stop sponsoring, the show gonna cut off.
Real people. Yeah.
This is a charitable.
That's the reality. But see, when you
deal.
say that, people don't understand. Like I tell
Well,
people
it
who
all-
always coming to me for favors, right?
Yeah.
I got 4 things I could sell.
Yeah.
Airtime, column inches, brain, and other feminine wiles.
Yeah.
I ain't selling the last one because mommy raised me right.
Yeah.
So people don't realize that it's a commodity to
Yeah.
be sold. It's like
Exactly.
pork bellies.
Exactly.
And so if they want your show on the air,
You
they need to sponsor it.
That's it. Just
That's
call
the answer
JCN,
right there.
and when you call JCN, they'll say what the price
Well,
is.
actually, call only
we'll be
sponsor
back
Erin's
on.
show. Don't sponsor nothing else on that bootleg channel. But anyway,
Yeah,
I
we'll
watched
be
that
back
channel
on.
because of you. Look at Wally having a seizure.
Yeah.
We all worked there before Wally.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I've never worked there.
Okay.
I only had a show.
Okay.
And so what
I worked
do,
there when you used to get paid in dollars and quarters.
And the funny thing is that people is calling
Thank
me
you,
and
darling.
say, they
Before
just
I
call
choke.
me and say, so what you doing now?
Thank you, sweetie.
And I say I doing the same thing I always used to do to
Yeah.
make money because Citizens Review was never it.
Yeah, people don't realize that.
I've never been a voice for
Let's take
sale.
appreciative first because Erin has to go in 15 minutes. I know we got to go to our break. Let's take appreciative because they've been holding. Appreciative, you're live on Reality Check. Erin Ferguson is leading the convo.
Chrissy,
Hi.
I appreciate all of y'all.
Well, we appreciate you too for listening. Thank you.
Listen, I appreciate Mr. Erin you have on right now. But I'd appreciate more, this time delay that you have where I can hear on the phone in a delay format what's going on TV. But that's cool. But
Yeah,
listen,
we have to delay because some of us aren't as well-mannered and cultured and believe they could say anything on the air. So if I
That's
don't
right.
delay, the things you'll hear will be scary.
well, listen up.
Uh-huh.
This man needs to advise our Prime Minister.
I think Erin has offered his services, but again, he's not white and Canadian.
He need to find a subliminal way to get into his mind to fix this country.
You
because
mean a TV show?
Huh?
I was on TV. I think I was even more than subliminal. Very forward.
Yeah, your show was great.
Yeah.
You were the first one to teach me about poverty. You said the number one industry in the Bahamas is not tourism, it's
labor.
poverty.
It's
Remember
labor.
that?
Cheap labor.
Cheap labor.
Oh, cheap
Absolutely.
labor.
Now, hold on now. I take exception. I've been telling you that since 1994.
Cheap
Oh,
labor.
you want to fight with him? Don't do that, Chrissy.
No.
No, but we all know that. And the thing is, and Erin, like I said, you are a voice that makes our people think. Because unfortunately, Erin, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to hurt a little bit, the average black man who looks like you is sagging, bagging, drugging, bugging, and thugging, and making baby and doing shite.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is why when we see someone like you,
Yeah.
that's not a cuss. When we see someone like you, we listen.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, the average man like you, under 30 in the 30-something category, we don't see a lot of the great things that they do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so,
but Chrissy, you need to listen more on your talk show because you don't get much calls in on averagely. You know what I mean?
how you mean I don't get, if you don't call, what I must do? I must force you to call, eh?
Yeah, but you know, Erin is running on with a nice thought that is invigorating, and you interrupt.
Are you telling me how to do my show?
No, I'm just suggesting that when you
Okay.
have someone like Erin on,
But it's a conversation. And that's what, I don't understand how people expect me to have a conversation without talking. Now, I agree there are times when I jump in a little bit more, but it's a conversation. That's what it is. Anyway, we're going to the break. Erin, you only got about 10 more minutes.
Okay.
And in the words of Darren Miller, this is my damn show. Oh, you don't like it? Turn the knob. But sponsor us. 302-2304.
Amen.
Thank you. I am channeling my inner Darryl Miller. I want to thank my boy Darryl because, as a talk show is for a long time, I was so concerned about what other people think. But guess what? I don't give a damn what you think. Okay? 325-4316, 325-4259, and 323-6232. Erin Ferguson.
Yes,
Who's on the
sir.
line? Sorry? Reconciler's on the line. You know, we got our favorite callers who love to call.
Yeah.
Reconciler, you're live. Let's talk.
Hey, good afternoon, Chrissy Love, and to your guest, Ms. Erin Ferguson.
Good afternoon.
Yes, you know, what I'd like to say very quickly is that when you mention about the crab syndrome, right? And I firmly, you know, believe in what you said. I understand that. But see, the thing is, the system, right now, in the back in the day, we had the British colonialists, and now we have the neo-colonialists.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, the system is still in place.
Agreed.
And I think what we need to get rid of is this Westminster system.
Westminster.
Westminster system.
Minster.
Okay, you know.
Westminster. I'm interrupting and cutting you off to correct you.
Okay, thank you. And
You're
get
welcome.
the Republican or the federal form of government. And I believe if we do that, that we could, you know, go in a different and a better direction. Because the Westminster system, it breeds a class barrier. And that's why they don't want to change the laws, the archaic laws that is in place, to cause the separation of the classes.
Okay, can you remind our caller about the Constitutional Commission, which visited that statement, visited that theory that he's positing? Because I think sometimes we forget.
Well, the Constitutional Commission seems as if they don't want to embrace this because they don't want it to be changed.
Yeah.
And the reason why they do not want it to be changed, in my mind, is they want to stay in that control, to control the masses. And I believe the masses have to get up and to remind that, listen, we want to change, and, you know, we don't like what is going on because there's too much class separation. All right? The divide between the haves and the have-not is getting wider. Why? Because of the system that is in place. I think it all rests in the system. Thank you very much.
I agree that it rests with the system.
And that's what you were saying.
Don't, however, think that the challenge is that whatever structure you use to run your government. I think the Westminster system, along with the federal system, having studied in Washington, D.C., can provide for classism, racism, and any other ism you want just as well as the other one. I think our goals and objectives, our stated purpose for running a country is where the challenges are. But there are some revampings that need to happen to this system. But
how do you see that happening, though, when we have the Constitutional Commission, which did not see fit to erase discrimination, which did not see fit to erase gender?
Is a waste of time.
Well, we know that. They just basically ate lunch on our money.
Yeah. Well,
and
they
pranced
continue.
around
Actually,
in suits.
they have a very nice office in the British colonial Hillston.
Isn't it plush?
They continue to eat lunch on
But
our
then we
money.
allow it. So Erin, again, at the end of the day, you gave us some steps to change our condition.
Yeah.
How do you think people are going to be? First of all, Bahamians are not amenable to a lot of things that require individual work. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah.
So how do we inspire people to get off there, like Darren Miller, get up off a do-nothing seat and do something?
Yeah. Well, there has to be a concentrated small group of people that decide that they want to change the country. There has, and in different ways. So that's, and that is why this Pilots Association is so important to me, because this is a small group of highly trained Bahamians that have decided, listen, the legislation got to change. It needs to change right away. There are dangers that are facing our ports every day, and that needs to be fixed. And the part about it that's so concerning to me is when the average citizen in Freeport pushes back against the pilots that have said that they want to fix the port, saying, oh, these good companies been running this for a long time. And you say, no, pay attention. Number one, the highest skilled mariners in the Bahamas are pilots, and they are Bahamian. They are our professionals and experts in this area. Number two, the international community didn't ask Freeport's opinion on how standards work. They set the standards based on what happens everywhere else in the world, and the pilots are saying, let's go with what works in the rest of the world. But number three, when the MSC cruise ship ran aground off the coast of Port Lucaya because of irresponsible management of pilotage.
You sure you want to say that last part?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
The irresponsible management of pilotage. And I could get affidavits to that effect. There's only two pilots that had the experience to do it. Neither of them were there. And so
again,
they did it anyway.
this is a microcosm
And
of
they
a
ran
lot
aground.
of what's wrong with our nation.
Yeah.
Because, and I appreciate you fighting for the pilots. I hope that works out well for you.
It will work out well
Okay.
because at the end
You see,
of the
you
day,
see some positivity at the end of
well,
that.
I think the government is going to do what they have to do to protect what is supposed to happen in the industry because the Bahamas is so well poised at the IMO, but also because it's a national security issue.
All right.
If the pilots are not there, the port becomes uninsurable. And if the port is not insurable, then no ships coming. And that is not pilots causing the economy of Grand Bahama to be impacted. That is the companies deciding that they don't want to properly manage the port. And so the people in Freeport could understand. If you continue to not manage it properly, the incident that will shut that port down is coming.
Lord of
you got
mercy,
to
and we don't want
fix
any
it.
tragedy because we can't afford to be paying out
Thank
millions
you
of
very
dollars.
much. And we've already had it because after that ship ran aground, MSC decided not to bring a total of 9 cruise ships to Freeport on a regular basis. So Freeport lost a lot of business. And what the pilots are trying to educate the average Grand Bahamian to is that if we don't fix it now, we will suffer for it later.
Let's go to Robert on the cell phone because I know you got to go.
Yeah.
Robert, you're live.
Please, Chrissy, let us hear the good gentleman that he making plenty sense.
Don't tell me to do my damn job. Bahamians is annoying me, Don't tell me who's on the line. News. If you want a talk show, you write a note to Manny Alexiou and Anthony Ferguson, and then you could do it your way. Okay?
Oh, Lord.
Don't make me curse y'all out today.
I ain't getting in that one.
You know?
Because nobody's could tell me how to run such a review.
And you know what it is? Bahamian people believe they could talk to me because of these mammary glands any kind of way.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't let Leslie Miller put hell up in y'all. Okay? Don't fool yourself.
Yeah.
You want to do my job better than me, you apply and get your own show. What about
It's
that?
been a pleasure, Chrissy.
You see why Jeff don't take calls?
Yeah.
Because some of you niggas ain't used to freedom.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure, Chrissy.
You got to
I've had
come
a
back for the 2
wonderful
hours.
time. I will come back for the 2 hours. I am headed to Freeport right now, and you can give me this free commercial.
Of course.
At 7 p.m.
Use my
tonight,
boy.
myself and the Secretary General of the International Maritime Pilots Association are hosting an event at Pelican Bay for any citizen in Freeport who has a concern about pilotage. Come and find out the real facts.
All
Not
right.
what they talking, the foolishness everywhere else. Come and find out the real facts and let the man tell you how it works in the rest of the whole world who ain't asking Freeport opinion but are expecting Freeport to comply with standards.
I'm going to retweet all of the posts you all have because I know Erin had to go early.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you. Continue to be a voice.
Tag me in the Twitter post at Erin A. Ferguson.
You know you're going to get plenty cut up when you're a voice.
Yeah, that's okay. I could
Do
take
you
it.
tell Jeffrey Lloyd how to do his show? Do you tell Dara Miller how to do his show? I keep telling y'all, don't mind this light skin and communicative competence. Okay? We're going to the news, 4 o'clock. Let's go take our picture, Erin.
Okay.